Walk into a Japanese home and something feels different before you can name it. Not just clean, not just organized, something more fundamental than that. Everything is where it belongs, not where it ended up, not where it was put temporarily, where it belongs. And if you ask a Japanese person how they maintain that, they won't talk about cleaning routines or organization systems or weekly schedules. They'll describe something closer to a relationship between themselves and the objects they live with. That relationship has a name, and understanding it explains not just why Japanese homes look the way they do, but why ours so rarely do. Japan lives by a principle that has no direct translation in English. The closest version is this: every object has a place, and that place is not negotiable. In Japanese homes, storage is not reactive. You don't find somewhere to put something after you've bought it. The place exists before the object arrives, or the object doesn't arrive. This sounds simple. It isn't. It requires a completely different relationship with ownership itself. In the West, we acquire and then accommodate. We buy and then find somewhere to put it. We accumulate and then reorganize to make space for what we've accumulated. Japanese homes operate in reverse. The space defines what can exist inside it. Objects earn their place before they enter. The result isn't minimalism as aesthetic. It's minimalism as consequence. The concept is called katachi. Katachi means form. But in the context of how Japanese people relate to their living spaces, it means something more specific. It means that every object has a correct form, a right way of existing in the space it occupies, and that maintaining that form is not a chore you do occasionally. It's a practice you maintain continuously. A book returned to its exact position on the shelf, a kitchen tool placed back precisely after use, a cushion straightened before you leave the room. Not because someone will see it, because the form of the space matters independently of whether anyone is observing it. This is the part that's hardest for Western thinking to absorb. We maintain spaces for external reasons, for guests, for photographs, for the version of ourselves we want others to see. Japanese homes are maintained for internal reasons, because the person who lives there has a relationship with the space that exists, whether or not anyone else ever enters it. What katachi creates that cleaning schedules never can. Western home maintenance is event-based. You clean before guests arrive. You reorganize when the chaos becomes unmanageable. You tidy when you can't find things anymore. This means the baseline state of a Western home is gradual disorder, interrupted periodically by restoration. Japanese home maintenance is continuous, not intensive, continuous. Small, immediate corrections that prevent disorder from accumulating in the first place. The cushion straightened takes 3 seconds. The book returned takes 2. The kitchen surface wiped after each use takes 30. None of these are cleaning. They're maintenance of form. They're the practice of katachi applied in real time, across every ordinary moment of the day. The result is that a Japanese home never needs a deep clean in the Western sense, because it never reaches the state that requires one. The time investment is identical. The experience of living inside the space is completely different. Why this is harder than it sounds. Katachi requires something Western productivity culture doesn't prioritize: immediate return. Every object to its place immediately after use, not later, not when you have time, immediately. The Western instinct is to defer, to batch, to deal with it all at once later. This feels efficient. It isn't. Deferred returns accumulate. 10 objects left out of place don't take 10 times as long to restore. They take 20, because now you have to assess the whole environment, make decisions about each item, and overcome the psychological resistance of dealing with visible disorder. Japanese home practice eliminates deferral at the root. The object goes back before the brain registers it as a decision. It becomes automatic, not through discipline, but through repetition until the return feels more natural than the leaving. This is what visitors to Japanese homes are actually experiencing when they feel that quality of rightness in the space. Not a particularly tidy person, not an unusually disciplined person. A person who has practiced returning things to their form so consistently that it no longer requires effort. The 5 ways to begin. You don't adopt katachi all at once. You begin with the surface that matters most to you and practice one rule until it's automatic before adding another. The first practice, one clear surface. Choose one surface in your home, a kitchen counter, a desk, a bedside table, and commit to it being completely clear at all times. Nothing lives on it. Everything placed on it gets returned immediately. One surface, non-negotiable, for 30 days. The second practice, last hand's rule. Whoever touches something last returns it, not later, before they do the next thing. This applies to everyone in the home and eliminates the accumulation that happens when everyone assumes someone else will deal with it. The third practice, incoming objects need an address. Before anything new enters your home, a purchase, a gift, something brought in from the car, it needs a designated place. If no place exists, it either creates one by replacing something already there or it doesn't come in. This single practice stops accumulation before it starts. The fourth practice, the 10-second return. If returning an object to its place takes less than 10 seconds, and most returns do, it happens immediately without exception. The 10-second threshold eliminates the cognitive category of "I'll deal with it later" for the vast majority of objects in a home. The fifth practice, morning form check. Before leaving the home each day, one slow walk through each room, not cleaning, looking, returning anything that isn't where it belongs. This takes 3 to 5 minutes and means you come home to a space that receives you rather than demands from you. None of this is about perfection. Katachi isn't the pursuit of a showroom. It's the maintenance of a baseline, a form that feels right, that supports the people living inside it, that makes the home feel like a resource rather than a problem. Japanese homes aren't peaceful because Japanese people are different from us. They're peaceful because Japanese culture developed a practice, continuous, ordinary, unglamorous, for maintaining the relationship between people and the spaces they inhabit. And that practice is available to anyone, in any home, in any size space. Starting with one surface and one rule, and 30 days of returning things immediately. That's it. If this gave you something useful, subscribe. Every week we go deeper into what Japan does differently and why it works. See you next week.